Okay, this is a one-day lesson. It is the start of the fourth quarter, the start of chapter 10. And it's introducing you to the Pythagorean theorem. We are going to use that theorem to find the missing side of a right triangle. If you don't know what a right triangle is, it is a triangle made up of two legs and a hypotenuse. The legs are the two shorter sides, and the hypotenuse is the side directly opposite the angle. The hypotenuse is always the longest side of a right triangle. So as you write this, just make sure you understand what's going on. So write these two things as I get ready to work on problem one. Again, no matter how you draw a triangle, it has a right angle in it. If that is my right angle, then that is my hypotenuse. Again, the right angle symbol, kind of like an arrow, points at the hypotenuse there, so that is my hypotenuse, and these are your two legs of that question. So again, the Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, which is very easy to remember. It's a, b, c, everything being squared, with c, the longest side, being by itself. And again, c is your hypotenuse. So before we get to that, let's work on solving these things and making sure we know what we're doing here. 3 squared plus b squared equals 5 squared. If you see this, which we will, the first thing you're going to do is simply get rid of all the squares that you can. So this turns into 9 plus b squared equals 25. Keep in mind when you solve this, you want to get rid of the weak numbers first. So subtract 9, you get b squared equals 16. And then when you square both sides, square root both sides, yes, remember we do get a plus or minus, but we're talking about the length of a side, and so in this case it's just 4. So because square root of 16 is 4, remember that's second x squared 16, that it gives you the answer of 4. It means that the third side of that triangle is 4, or that the missing value is 4. Let's look at another one, another 2 before we get to the actual Pythagorean theorem. Same thing here, 5 squared plus 12 squared equals c squared. That's 25 plus 144 equals c squared. Because these two are already together, just put them together. You get 169 equals c squared. To get rid of the squared, now we go ahead and square root both sides. Again, this is a positive length, and so the square root of 169 is 13, which would be the value of c. So this process really isn't that hard. I honestly think the Pythagorean theorem is pretty easy. In this case, a squared plus 40 squared equals 41 squared. This turns into a squared plus 1600 equals, I don't know what 41 squared is, 1681. Notice now you have a squared plus 1600, so we've got to get rid of this 1600, which gives us a squared equals 81. Now to get rid of the square, we square root both sides, and again this is a length, and so we're talking about a being 9 in this case. So again, that's really the only algebra situations you're going to face. The hardest thing you're going to have to do is draw the picture, put your label, and then figure out what's going on. So this is your computer work right here. Two legs of a right triangle measure 9 and 13 inches. Sketch the triangle, find the length of the third side. So again, draw a general right triangle. Label your right angle so you know what you're talking about. Remember that the legs are the short side. So this is 9, this is 13. This is what we don't know. Remember, this is always your hypotenuse, which is c. C is always across from the right angle. And so because they're both legs, it's going to be both legs turns into 9 squared plus 13 squared equals c squared, because again we are looking for the hypotenuse in this one. Again, the hypotenuse always across from there. And so 9 squared turns into 81 plus 13 squared turns into 169 equals c squared. Add those two numbers, you get 250 equaling c squared. You then square root both sides to get rid of your square. And I know that we learned this a little while ago, but for this case we are going to just go ahead and leave it as a decimal. So square root of 250 is 15.81 is our value for c. We will get back to doing the radical part tomorrow. That is actually the lesson for the next 2 or 3 days, but like I said, for right now, when you do the square root of 250, just go ahead and leave it as the rounded number to the hundredths, and that works. Alright. Another question you're going to see is the one that says a right triangle has a leg measuring 5 inches and a hypotenuse measuring 15 inches. Remember, hypotenuse, the long word, is the long side for the triangle. So when you sketch that triangle, just draw a general right triangle. We know that the hypotenuse, which is the long side, is 15, and one of the legs is 5. It doesn't matter which letter we use. This is either A or B. You can just name it whatever you want to name it. But based off of what we know about the Pythagorean theorem, b squared is what we're going to leave, so we end up with 5 squared plus b squared equals 15 squared, because that's what c is. And then we do the same work we did. 5 squared turns into 25 plus b squared equals 15 squared, I believe, is 225. Yep. Now we get rid of the 25 by moving and subtracting it, getting b squared equals 200. Then we square root both sides. Square root of 200 is 14.14. And that is where you can stop. Okay? So other than that, the main thing you need to understand is that you have to be able to sketch that triangle. You have to be able to do the work that is necessary to get there. Make sure you ask questions about that. If you have to ask questions before doing this question here, please do so, but you need to do this question on your own. In order to earn credit for watching the video, this is new and it's for the rest of the quarter, you must answer the following question on a small sheet of paper and hand it in to me. Keep in mind, I am not grading this for right or wrong. I am using it to assist you with your weaknesses. So do not write out the question. All you have to do is give me your work and let me see what you are doing. So if it says sketch the triangle and you don't show me a triangle, you are not going to get credit for this question. You do have to follow directions. You just don't have to always get it right. Just do your best on it so I can see who gets it, who doesn't get it, and what needs to be taught. And I'll probably talk to you in class about whatever your mistakes are and try to get you on track. But either way, this is the question you're going to do. So please go ahead and pause the video before it leaves and then work this out, hand it in to me, and then begin working on your Math XL for the day. Keep in mind, your Math XL is part of your grade, so you must make sure you actually get it done, not just work on 1 or 2, because working on 1 or 2 out of 20 is going to definitely give you a failing grade this quarter. Be careful with that and make sure you're actually working to finish. Also keep in mind you are working alone until I tell you it's okay to work together. Other than that, good luck.